Bedwise, Lascar, Tony Tokumbo Fernandez. You know we get the out. African follow us on you. African for you. African now we be the champion for you.
Once again, it's Friday the 10th of April. We're live here in Reading, the Royal County of Berkshire. Welcome once again to the Tony Tokumbo Fernandez Show in conjunction with Simba Media Productions and Zimlink. And we're here today at the heart of Berkshire to interview a great community leader making a difference to the lives of people. He was a member of parliament in 2010. He's a fully chartered accountant, a community ambassador, a global spokesman, and an advocate for road regulations, people's concerns, and making a big difference in the community. So it's a pleasure to meet, as always, once again, MP Alok Sharma. Welcome to Tony Tokumbo Fernandez Show. How are you today?
Tony, pleasure to meet you. The first thing I want to say is that it's been really great being involved with all the work that you have been doing. I mean, you talk about representing the community. That is something that you do every day, day in, day out. And it was a real honour, together with you, to organise 2 events in Parliament to celebrate Black History Month. So that was a wonderful, both of those were wonderful occasions. The second thing is, just to correct you, is that I am no longer a Member of Parliament. As of the 30th of March, Parliament dissolved. There are no Members of Parliament. Mr Cameron is still Prime Minister, but not a Member of Parliament. And of course I am standing for re-election in Reading West. And for me it's been a real honour of the past 5 years to help many thousands of my constituents, to get involved in hundreds of local issues, and at the end of the day represent a town where I grew up, where I know people, and I feel that I belong very much in that community.
Now, before you just go into your campaigns and looking back at the last 5 years, I'm sure our listeners around the world are curious to know a bit about yourself, your background, and what you're most passionate about in life.
Yeah, well, thank you for that opportunity. I was not born in this country. I was born in India. I moved here with my parents when I was a young boy, and I grew up in Reading. For those of your viewers and listeners will know Reading, Whitley Wood is where we started off, then we moved to Early, Reading is absolutely my home. I am to the core Reading. And so when I had an opportunity to stand for the Conservative Party in 2006, I grabbed it with all the opportunity that it offered, and was elected, as you said, in 2010. And the past 5 years have really been a wonderful time. And I've got to know communities and brilliant individuals, and work with charities and churches and so many people to try and make a difference locally. Now, what are the things that I care most about? Well, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is education, and as a result of the work that I've done together with local school groups and parents groups, we've got more school places here, more government funding for our schools. The other thing that I'm really passionate about is helping businesses. At the end of the day, having a strong economy is what then helps us deliver great public services. And I'm really keen to champion, as much as I can, small businesses particularly. So I've run export seminars, we've had businesses come up to Parliament, and again trying to make a difference, to make sure that we have a town which is thriving, and actually there are policies in government coming forward with lower taxes, lower jobs taxes, actually encouraging investment locally. And the final thing I would say is to do with infrastructure. The reality is that when my family and I first moved to Reading 40 odd years ago, it was a smaller town. We didn't have as much expansion as we do now, and I'm really proud of what Reading has achieved as a town over 40 years. But of course, with growth and success, you also have the issues that come with it in terms of wanting to provide more housing, more infrastructure. And if you look around Reading, it's a thriving town, huge amount of money, government money being spent on local railway stations, Reading stations. We've got Crossrail coming here. There's a whole bunch of road schemes that I've been involved in where we've had investment from government. And I think those are things that matter to people. A lot of the time as politicians, we talk in abstract numbers. Actually, what's really important is to get to the heart of what matters to individuals. And that is, are they feeling more secure in their jobs? Will their kids get a school place at the school that they want? do the roads network, does it work, or are they being congested? Those are sort of things that matters, and that's what I've focused on over the past 5 years.
Now, free schools, road safety, rail regulations, these are some of the things you're very, very passionate about. And over the years, my involvement with communities within Reading, people have always spoken to you as being someone who is a strong advocate for communities coming together and working in harmony. How important is that for you?
Well, look, I mean, I think that's for me, that's really important, and it's really nice to hear those sort of comments that are being fed to you. Yeah, I'm from an ethnic minority background, I'm from an immigrant background, and if you look at Reading, I think it is a diverse town, and I think we benefit from that diversity where we have people from across the world who've chosen to make Reading their home. They are first and foremost British, but of course they celebrate their background, their heritage and culture, and that's something that we can all join in. I think the reason that Reading is so successful is because all the people who have decided to settle here, to move from abroad and make this town their home, have integrated completely into the mainstream of society here. And I think that is a really important lesson for all of us. It doesn't matter where we come from, we play in the mainstream, absolutely we respect our cultures, we celebrate that, and we make sure our kids don't forget where their grandfathers and grandmothers came from. But at the end of the day, we play in the mainstream, and I think that's exactly what we do in Reading.
Now, May 7th is just around the corner, just a few weeks away. What are your expectations, and what would you like to see work better and then put into place if you're voted into office again?
Yeah. Well, I would like to see a majority Conservative government. I want David Cameron to continue as Prime Minister, and I want us to have an opportunity as a majority party to bring about further changes, positive changes for this country. I mean, look, I think this country's best days are absolutely ahead of it. If you look at Reading, it's an incredibly aspirational town. Particularly you look at people from ethnic minority communities here. I mean, incredibly aspirational. People setting up businesses, really making a difference. And I think that's the kind of nation and that's the kind of town that we want to see going forward. So, as I said, obviously it's up to the voters in Reading West who they vote for. I hope they vote for me. I have a record over 5 years of having worked with many people locally, and I will be judged on that. As a government, we have a 5-year record of what we have achieved, and we will be judged on that. And what I would say to everyone who is listening and watching this is that at the end of the day, the decision they have to make is whether they believe the current team, led by David Cameron and George Osborne, are the right team to deliver and continue to deliver a strong economy, or do they think somebody else can do that? When we got into power in 2010, we inherited a huge financial mess. We had a record budget deficit. Actually, as a country, we were literally peering over the abyss when it came to our finances. And over those 5 years, the deficit has been cut by half as a percentage of our gross domestic product. We've got the highest growth of any economy in Europe, much higher than France, higher even than Germany, which people always use as a benchmark. And unemployment is at a record low. 2 million more people now have jobs than they did at the start of 2010. And all those sort of things are incredibly important. Businesses invest. The reason businesses invest in Reading and towns like Reading is because they are confident right now about the future. And so I would say to people is please think very carefully. Do you think that anybody else can continue to deliver the economic recovery, or do you think you're in safe hands with David Cameron and George Osborne? And obviously, I think we are, and I would like people to vote Conservative.
Okay. Jobs is another area which I know you're very, very passionate about. And over the last few years, even jobs in the Reading area has been so much improvements, and Reading is very, very significant also in the IT and finance sector. I mean, the headquarters of Microsoft in Europe is in Reading, and Reading is a seat of financial and IT seat, very, very strong. What else would you like to see work better in terms of job placements in Reading, considering there are so many nice constructions being built in Reading right now and gateways into the country?
You're absolutely right. Reading has become an absolute beacon when it comes to IT and many other sectors. Financial services, you say as well. We've got people like Prudential here. But what I want to see, and the part that I can play, is try and attract more of these companies to come and set up. As you said, there's a lot of office space going up. We obviously want to fill that office space with lots of people creating more jobs. But I think one of the issues for us as an economy nationally as well is that whilst in a place like Reading we have got unemployment is, I think, 1.6%, so below 2%, effectively going towards full employment. What we want to make sure is that the next generation that's coming up has the skills to be able to take on the sort of jobs that we're going to have in the future. So the past 5 years we've had an extra 2 million apprenticeships, proper apprenticeships, so you get the right level of training, and actually you're being trained, you study and you earn at the same time, and preparing you for the world of work. And I think what we don't need to be doing, and I think that's what we've done over the past 5 years, and we want to do more of it, actually invest in education, invest in training, and that obviously has to happen both locally and at a national level. But that is something that as a government we have done over the past 5 years, and I would like us to continue with that.
Okay. Now, so in the last few weeks, my team and I have been quite busy organizing the Africa for You online awards for Africans in Europe, with nominees and winners in various countries in Europe. Not just for Africans, but people who make life improvements for Africans in UK and the diaspora. And the Reading community, the African community in Reading, can vouch that you are one of such people. And so on behalf of my team, and on behalf of Zimlink and Simba Media Productions, we'd also like to present to you today Africa for You Online Awards.
Wonderful.
Constants achievements for all the great work you're doing in the economy this year.
Tony, I'm really touched. I wasn't expecting that when you came in, but thank you so much. As I said, it's an honour to work with so many community groups over the past 5 years, and I hope I'll have an opportunity to continue that after the 7th of May. But thank you so much for this.
Thank you. And on a very final note, what message you have for all our listeners around the world today, and why should they vote you again for a second term?
Yeah. Well, what I would say is that you have to judge people on their record. I have a local record of having worked with many of my constituents and many fantastic individuals in community groups, and I hope that will make a difference. And you have to judge us obviously on the record of the government. I have been a Conservative MP for 5 years, and we have had a Conservative-led government. And I would say that in terms of that, the one big issue for all of us is that we have a strong economy. And I believe that the Conservative government has got that absolutely right. We have growth again in our country, we have jobs, we have prosperity, and I would like that to continue. And I think those are the reasons that I would like people to go out and put a cross by the name of Conservative candidates, not just in Reading West, but across the country.
You've heard it all from MP Alok Sharma, who was the MP for Reading West. Hopefully he's going to rule for a second tenure and make Reading, Berkshire a better place. From me, Tony Fernandez, and my team, join us same time next week. Take care and God bless.
Bedwise, Lascar, Tony Fernandez. You know we get it.